I was in Bishkek all winter, and then I left to go for the tour around the country, and then when I came back a month later, Bishkek had sprung into spring, and the city felt completely different. In fact, the city feels completely different. The first thing you notice is how green it is after the white, icy winter months. I must say that the air quality is a lot better in spring than it was in winter. All the coal that was being burned all over the city made the air pollution not unbearable, but not so pleasant, especially in the evening time. But wow, after that, in the spring, you can really feel the fresh air. This is something you see a lot of as well. In the springtime, people come out and start selling local drinks in the streets. As I mentioned the other day during my hike, a slight problem with spring, especially here, what with the changeable weather, is that you never really know how to dress, because today it's very sunny, so you assume it to be very hot, but actually it's not that hot. In fact, I'm the only person walking around in a t-shirt. Everyone else is wearing coats and even hats. But if I was wearing a coat and a hat, I'd be too hot now. So that's one of the downsides of spring, I guess. So this is cool. I just completely by chance stumbled across what seems to be a little allotment. People growing things, I guess, and selling them as well. Wow, it's a fair size actually. That's some apple trees there that you can buy and put in your garden if you've got one. You might remember me observing in Osh, when I was at the mountain there overlooking the city, just how many houses there were, little houses instead of big apartments. And that's kind of the same in Bishkek. There's a lot of houses here instead of just blocks of flats. So I guess each house has a garden, and so springtime's a popular time for gardeners here. I guess springtime in snowy places can sometimes be a bit of an issue, because when the snow all melts, the water of the canals and rivers could rise, but it doesn't seem to be an issue this year at least. Although it could just be that the time's already passed. In fairness, the snow on the streets started melting a long time ago now. So the snow on the ground has long since gone, but you can still see the snow on a clear day on the mountains that surround the city. It's early morning, so all the playgrounds and basketball courts and football pitches are empty, but in the spring evenings they get very busy. People coming out and being able to do things that they weren't able to do all through the winter months. In other parts of the world, when the warmer weather comes, you notice an increase in people hanging around the streets, often making a nuisance of themselves, and antisocial behaviour, all of that. But it doesn't seem to be a problem here in Kyrgyzstan. I guess springtime's nicer for the street dogs as well. You know, those cold winter days and nights can't be much fun. But in the springtime, they get to do lots of sunbathing. Although spring might not be my favourite season, it is still a season, and so it should be appreciated, because in some parts of the world, near the equator or wherever, they don't really have seasons, and that's really unfortunate for them, because seasons are wonderful things and should be appreciated. Slightly off topic, I know, but I've just checked out of my hotel and I was quite disturbed by the dog that was just being left there on a very small lead with no shade, no water and everything. So it's something that I guess people don't think of, myself included, when booking hotels. But maybe when booking hotels in developing countries that aren't in the city centre, budget hotels like this one, then maybe we need to all start taking into consideration whether they have a guard dog that's being forced to live under such conditions, and then we'll know not to stay there. So I'd just like to suggest, if you come to Bishkek, you don't stay at this star hotel. The hotel itself's okay, but it's like a prison in there. The gate's always closed. You can't get in and out, you have to wait for someone to come, which can be quite a while. And then also they've got this poor little beautiful dog that just sits there in the sun with his black fur. He's as good as gold, little one, and doesn't even have water in this hot weather. In this hot weather, no water, eh? And you just spend your whole life there and no shade or anything. And I think it's a disgrace. I'm checking out. I was curious to know if some of the many fountains they have in the city might start working again in spring, but so far they haven't. Maybe it's only in the summer, or maybe they just stopped working decades ago. Every April here, as in many of the other ex-Soviet Union countries, people give a day to their city. Usually a Saturday, young people come out and tidy up their city, paint it and get it presentable for the spring and summer months. It's a nice idea, and actually it was an initiative set up by Lenin about 100 years ago now, and it still goes on in the countries here, but perhaps less enthusiastically than it once did.